Oh, look how dreary it is out there today. It's absolutely awful out there. Hello, I'm going to read some public domain poetry on a dreary day like this. Who can stand it? I got papers here. I'll find them. I figure I put Bogey more in the spotlight today because I don't know. He just looks more like a bogey up close. Um, hmm. Papers, poetry papers. There's poetry in here. Big heaping piles of poetry. Public domain poetry. I like to point out. Public domain poetry. Good stuff here. Good stuff. On a dreary day today. What is it like? Cold and it's like gray and it's not really windy. It snowed overnight, and you're not in the mood for snow, and it snows, and you just feel like the snow is piling up, and then there's more snow. Try to think of something more dreary than snow. I can think of a day looking like today, and piles of snow. You spend all day and most of the night just really moving that stuff around, and it's borderline freezing. So it's getting like slushy, and it's really 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 heavy. Awful feeling trying to move all that stuff, and the night's moving along, and you're just out there and you're out there, and it's just heavy. Just your heart's really pounding. You can feel it like a pulse behind your like left eye or something, or your right eye or whatever, and you think you're done, but then you realize the street's still covered with that thick, heavy snow slash gray, dreary looking slush. That's when nighttime looks better than daytime. I would love nighttime during the winter just to get away from the horrible steel gray look of the day. It's just awful out there. And all the houses are dreary looking, they're all the same. Just an awful place. But it's Saturday, and well, it's Saturday where I am. Maybe it's Saturday where you are. Maybe it's Saturday all over the world right now. And despite this being, a dreary looking day, this is the peak of the weekend right now. Right now, the peak of every weekend is 2 p.m. 2 p.m. on a Saturday. That is the peak. It doesn't get better than this. This is the ultimate moment of the week. And I learned this way back when I was a kid. It's just the greatest time of the day of the whole week. Every week you get these. Every week it comes up and you get this 2 p.m. on a Saturday. It's just the ultimate moment. It's all downhill from here until, Monday when it hits rock bottom. But right now this is the peak. Think about it. I'll describe it the way I see it. Monday through Friday, you're just going through the routine. Everything is just clockwork. At some point when you're so used to the routine that it just becomes like you're like half thinking through the whole thing. It's like driving to a location that is 50 miles per away, and you're so used to the drive after doing it 60 times or so that you don't even think when you're driving. You're just aware of your surroundings. You're aware of the cars on the road, but you know where you're going, and you don't even have to think about it. The scenery all looks the same. The streets, the big green signs are all saying the same big green signs, and you know where to make the turn off, and it's all robotic. It's a robotic routine you're in throughout the 5 days of the week. And that's a way to cope with it, I think, because it gets to be tedious and dreary. But when you're younger and a kid, you're not used to that kind of thing, and you just are more looking for other kind of escapes, and you don't really find them. You just start to look at time as some sort of like a measuring stick. Like Monday, is just the long, awful week. Tuesday it just feels exactly like Monday. Wednesday, you're not there yet. And there's no reason to really be optimistic because you're not there yet. You still have to go through the whole Wednesday, and even Wednesday night's not that great. Thursday is pretty good. Thursday, you know what's coming. You know the weekend is just over the horizon, just over the horizon, and that's a great feeling. I mean, Thursday nights are or like you can just you feel like you just beat some great video game after trying for so long. Friday, it's great, but you're losing half your day to whatever you're doing, work, school, whatever. And it's just the routine is still kicking in. Friday night, you're feeling it, it's come, it's here, but you're kind of, out of it a little bit. You're tired to really enjoy it. And then comes, Saturday morning, you're starting to really get your sea legs in. And this is the peak moment right now. Just afternoon to about 3 or 4 in the afternoon on Saturday. I mean, this is the moment when you have the whole night ahead of you. And you have the whole evening, the whole night. Every moment is an important moment. It can be. It could be a good important moment. And then you have the whole night. You can go to sleep and tomorrow is peace. Sunday. It's almost like it's just an open invitation to just be free for a little while. And then Sunday, part of you and your subconscious knows what's coming. Monday. So Sunday morning, you're there. Part of you is there if you're like not an optimistic kind of person, glass half empty kind of person. Half of you is already thinking about Monday as soon as Sunday starts. That's not a good feeling at all. And that's dreary. But this is Saturday afternoon. This is the peak of the weekend. As bad as that looks right now, it looks lousy out there. So I put Bogey in the foreground so that just to make it more 40s film noir kind of way. It's still really dreary. But to juxtapose, I guess that's the word. I didn't learn that until I was about 20. How like something goes up against something else and either it complements it. I guess it complements it. Well, I should say contrast. To contrast what you were looking at, I'm going to attempt to read some humor. Humor. And the guy's name is Hilaire Belloc. Belloc. Hilaire, maybe that's the root cause of the word hilarious. Who knows? It's good to know about root words. I mean, the other day I was reading, not really reading. I mean, I do have a dictionary of word origins, but I was more or less thinking about that book, and then I was trying to think of words that sound exactly as you would imagine that fit the words that sound exactly like you would imagine they would fit a noun, and not to be like crass or anything, but fart is a very terse word. It has odor connotations. It fits the situation very well. I mean, sound. It's very abrupt. I mean, when you hear it, it's just any word that's 4 letters and ends with a T is very terse. Very quick to the point. But Hilaire, I'm not pronouncing that right. I'm not a scholar, as you can tell. But hilarious. It's possible. And this guy is humorous. So this is Song by Hilaire Belloc. Inviting the influence of a young lady upon the opening year, you wear the morning like your dress, and are with mastery crowned when you are as you walk your loveliness. Go shining all around upon your secret smiling way, such new contents were found, the dancing loves made holiday. On that delightful ground and summoned April 4th, and send commandment through the flowers about our woods your grace extend, a queen of careless hours. For oh, not Vera veiled in rain, nor oh, I guess that's an E, nor Diane's sacred ring. Well, I'm reading this on a piece of paper that printed it out. Certain letters with a question mark and a diamond. And it looks like E's because it happened twice as an E. Veiled, crowned, nor Diane's sacred ring, with all her royal nymphs in train, could so lead on the spring. Well, that was less humorous than, I don't know, kind of annoying. I'll try it again anyway. Song by Hilaire Belloc. Inviting the influence of a young lady upon the opening year, you wear the morning like your dress, and are with mastery crowned, when as you walk your loveliness goes shining all around upon your secret smiling way. Such new contents were found, the dancing loves made holiday. On that delightful ground, then summon April 4th, and send commandment through the flowers about our woods your grace extend, and queen of careless hours. For oh, nor not Vera veiled in brain, or Diane's sacred ring, with all her royal nymphs in train, could so lead on the spring. Song by Hilaire Belloc. Frankly, I didn't like that one. I'm going to throw that across the room. Just to be frank, not all this stuff works for me. All right, I apologize. I don't mean to be, kind of angry about certain things. I mean, this gray is I should be used to it by now. It's January. I mean, it's supposed to be gray out. Oh, maybe I had too much coffee today too. I don't know. Maybe I've been watching too much sports ball. I mean, think about it. If you watch enough sports, everybody loses. I mean, really, they do. I mean, everybody ends up losing. Even though they win the championship, that team lost at some time. Or if you're a fan of another team, it's just never going to win anything, unless you're like a bandwagon person, and then you're not really enjoying the sports. You're just chasing the good players, the good teams, and after that, it just gets tedious because you really can't appreciate winning if all you do is root for a winner. It's when you have to, you devote all your time to like a sports ball loser, and then, like the teams in front of you there. I mean, those teams have 1989, 2005, generations ago. That's a long time to between championships. They got a long ways to go too, still, but who knows? Time Cures All by Hilaire Belloc. It was my shame, and now it is my boast, that I have loved you rather more than most. Sounds like a greeting card, doesn't it? Valentine's Day is coming up at some point. Feel free to take that for a card because it's in the public domain. Well, let's look at this again. Time cures all. It was my shame, and now it is my boast, that I have loved you rather more than most. Now, a short poem like that, you have to look at the whole thing. The title is Time Cures All, which probably means an argument. And this is probably Hilarious Belloc's answer to that argument. Oh, Hilaire, excuse me. Hilaire. Of course, the E kind of ruins the hilarious root thing, but whatever. It was my shame, and now it is my boast. I have loved you rather more than most. Time cures all. That's a good thing after an argument or a Valentine's Day thing. But I'm not in a good mood, so I'm going to throw that one across the room too. What else we got here? Oh, The Tiger. Not to be confused with William Blake by Hilaire Belloc. The tiger, on the other hand, is kittenish and mild. It makes a pretty playfellow for any little child. And mothers of family. Oh, that's dangerous, isn't it? This deserves a warning. Tiger's kittenish playfellow? Come on. Tiger would. I haven't forgotten about Siegfried and Roy. Look that up. I mean, this is like years ago. I mean, those guys. I mean, oh, ooh, you look that up. I don't even like to think about it. Hilaire Belloc. He's put me in a bad mood already. It's just supposed to be funny stuff. I'm trying to find the poem that's the funny one. There's a few lines in one that's actually kind of funny. Well, one of these is about drinking wine. I don't even like doing that. The Tiger by Hilaire Belloc. I'll try again. The tiger, on the other hand, is kittenish and mild. It makes a pretty playfellow for any little child, and mothers of large families who claim to common sense will find a tiger well repays the trouble and expense. I'm going to pretend the tiger is a stuffed animal, like Tigger. Remember Tigger? Tiger. I don't know. I was never a big cartoon fan. Well, I read that one. I'm not going to throw that one though. I'm just going to place it somewhere here. Here we go. It's nice and quiet. Here's the drinking song on the excellence of Burgundy wine. Yeah. Drink responsibly. Now, this has a lot of French words. Literal with an X at the end. I'm going to not do well with those, but I'll try. Because what's life without trying? But this is supposed to be my jolly fat host with your face all a grin. Come and open. This might be actually kind of be a humorous scene, a nice humorous poem scene. Drinking song on the excellence of Burgundy wine. I guess they had steak for dinner. By Hilaire Belloc. My jolly fat host with your face all a grin, come open the door to us. Let us come in. A score of stout fellows who think it no sin if they toast till they're hoarse and drink till they spin. Hoofed it amain, rain or no rain, to crack your old jokes and your bottle to drain such a warmth in the belly that nectar begets as soon as his guts with its humor he wets. The miser his gold, and the student his debts. Oh boy, that's telling. And the beggar his rags, and his hunger forgets. For there's never a wine like this tipple of thine. From the great hills of Nuets to the river of the Rhine, outside you may hear the great gusts as they go, by Foy, by Durn, and the hills of Lirol. But the rain he may rain, and the wind he may blow. If the devil's above, there's good liquor below. So it abound, pass it around. Burgundy all the year round. Cheers. I had to do cheers myself. Well, I'm not a drinker. I had a bad experience drinking when I was 21. It wasn't personal. I mean, it wasn't drunk driving. I mean, I was at the party. It was like a work party, and I was like, I was kind of had like a crush on somebody I was working with. Me, and you don't ever know how to approach people, but this woman wasn't there anyway, so I just decided to just go and just to go, and I'm sitting there and I'm just drinking like a warm like bourbon in a glass, and somebody in the party was pounding down wine coolers. I'm not really talking to people. I'm just friendly, not really close to anyone. And somebody threw up on the bed, and the brilliant the person who ran the party sprayed. I guess I was air freshener into the fan and tried to really just drove us all out of there. Ugh. Oh, just imagine the smell of vomit and air freshener. And he just filled up the whole room. I was thinking about that stuff getting sprayed in my eyes. And I gotta, oh, I'll tell you, it just puts me in a bad mood again. I'll just read this again because it's not a bad poem. Drinking song on the excellence of Burgundy wine. Nobody was drinking Burgundy that night. It was a beer. I was thinking I was the only one drinking hard liquor, beer and wine coolers. Drinking Song on the Excellence of Burgundy Wine by Hilaire Belloc. My jolly fat host, with your face all a grin, come open the door to us, let us come in. A score of stout fellows who think it no sin if they toast till they're hoarse and drink till they spin. Hoofed it amain, or no rain, to crack your old jokes and your bottle to drain, such a warmth in the belly that nectar begets, as soon as his guts with his humor he wets. The miser his gold and the student his debts, and the beggar his rags and his hunger forgets. For there's never a wine like this tipple of thine, from the great hills of Nuets to the river of the Rhine. I always had the outside you may hear the great gusts as they go, by Foy, by Durn, in the hills of Lorel. But the rain he may rain, and the wind he may blow, the devil's above, there's good liquor below. So it abound, pass it around, Burgundy's Burgundy all the year round. I'll place that one over here because it's not that bad. I actually kind of enjoy that one. What else we have here? You know, a lot of these poets I just sort of just picked at random, but I do know a little bit of Belloc beforehand, and I can't remember which poem has the line that I remember. It's like the Richard Lovelace. I remember two lines from one poem, and then I get a bunch of poems, and then I can't remember the lines. And then I just stumble across it. To Lucretia from prison, angels soar above, no such liberty. That line. You know what's the best thing about reading all this stuff is? You can end up starting to have the ability to write your own, because it's like learning things from like osmosis. You just start, if you do it enough times reading it, and then all of a sudden you just start picking it up yourself. And then maybe these people don't seem so brilliant. You can just do it your own, and it just comes on to you. So don't shortchange yourself. You could be writing better than Hilaire Belloc if you want to. I mean, it takes work. I mean, you have to be literate in some way. You have to read this stuff, or just listen to me read it. It's music after all. I am a very musical person, which is why I'm reading this in such a wonderful musical manner. Juliet by Hilaire Belloc. How did the party go in Portman Square? I cannot tell you. Juliet was not there. And how did Lady Gaster's party go? Juliet was next to me, and I don't know. Juliet, Lady Gaster, Portman Square. Can I tell you? Let's take a guess on that one. I'll read it again. You draw your own conclusion. Belloc. Juliet by Hilaire Belloc. How did the party go in Portman Square? I cannot tell you. Juliet was not there. And how did Lady Gaster's party go? Juliet was next to me, and I don't know. Okay. I'll throw that one. Let's see here. One of these has something to do with nurses. Always something to do with nurse at best to keep disease and sickness at rest. Something like that. I'm trying to find that poem. I know I printed it. I got piles of paper everywhere. I'll find it. I might not do it today because as gray as it is, it's also affecting my sinuses. I mean, I live with a cat and I'm allergic to the cat. But it's not my cat, it's my parents' cat. I just, babysit them. Is there any reward by Hilaire Belloc? Is there any reward? I'm beginning to doubt it. I am broken and bored. Is there any reward? Reassure me, good Lord, and inform me about it. Is there any reward? I'm beginning to doubt it. Hey, the reward is asking for the reward, pal. Okay? Linger in suspense on that one. The reward is being able to ask for one. Okay? That's the reward. For some people, that's the most they can expect out of life. Is there any reward by Hilaire Belloc? Hey, the reward is living. Think about that. I could be looking at a beautiful snowstorm right now, but I see nothing but gray. It's a little clearing in the distance a little bit. Watch, it's going to clear up sundown after it's dark out. And then it's not going to matter. Although the moon's out now. I mean, not now, I mean later. Is there any reward by Hilaire Belloc? Is there any reward? I'm beginning to doubt it. I'm broken and bored. Is there any reward? Reassure me, good Lord. And inform me about it. Is there any reward? I'm beginning to doubt it. Me too. The reward is reading this stuff. Ah, I found it. Yes, this is the one I wanted to read. This is the one I wanted to read. Took me 25 minutes to find it. Here it is. Jim by Hilaire Belloc. Who ran away from nurse and was eaten by a lion. There was a boy whose name was Jim. His friends were very good to him. They gave him tea and cakes and jam and slices of delicious ham and chocolate with pink inside and little tricycles to ride and read him stories through and through and even took him to the zoo. But there it was the dreadful fate befell him which I now relate. You know, or at least you ought to know, for I have often told you so, that children never are allowed to leave their nurses in a crowd. Now, this was Jim's especial foible. He ran away when he was able. And on this inauspicious day, he slipped his hand and ran away. He handed, he hadn't gone a yard when bang! With open jaws, a lion sprang and hungrily began to eat, the boy beginning at his feet. Now just imagine how it feels when first your toes and then your heels, and then by gradual degrees your shins and ankles, calves and knees, are slowly eaten bit by bit. No wonder Jim detested it. No wonder that he shouted high. The honest keeper heard his cry. Though very fat, he almost ran to help the little gentleman. Ponto, he ordered as he came. For Ponto for the lion's name. Ponto, he cried with angry frown. Let go, sir. Down, sir. Put it down. The lion made a sudden stop. He let the dainty morsel drop and slunk reluctant to his cage, snarling with disappointed rage. But when he bent him over Jim, the honest keeper's eyes were dim. The lion having reached his head, the miserable boy was dead. When nurse informed his parents, they were more concerned than I can say. His mother, as she dried her eyes, said, well, it gives me no surprise. He would not do as he was told. His father, who was self-controlled, bade all the children around attend to James' miserable end, and always keep a hold of nurse for fear of something worse. It's the last line that drove me to read this poem. It's a cautionary tale. I'd leave the kids today would call that F around and find out. In other parlances, it's the Darwin Awards. You should have kept a hold of nurse for fear of finding something worse. Now, personally, I think this is a poem which is, I mean, it's not only it's a made up poem by the author, but I think it's a lying poem being communicated between people, and the poet is telling that story as though it's a lying story. I mean, it's like Mark Twain. I mean, Mark Twain had like what was the term? Prejudice narrators. People who are deliberately telling tall tales. I think that was a tall tale that is being told to other people to be careful, or you could get eaten by a lion. So cautionary tale. Fiction that's being told within fiction. Within fiction. Okay? It's not the author telling a story that as though it could really happen. Understand? It's not a this could happen to you. This is a story about people telling a story about something bad happening. Okay? I finally got it out. Bogey is so pleased with me, and the sky is clearing up as I just read that. Everything is going right now. It's all going right. Look at that. The sun is almost out. You probably can't tell from that, but I'm going to try to read this again because I enjoy this one. This is the only one that made me read this entire Arthur's work. Jim by Hilaire Belloc, who ran away from his nurse and was eaten by a lion. There was a boy whose name was Jim. His friends were very good to him. They gave him tea and cakes and jam and slices of delicious ham, and chocolate with pink inside and little tricycles to ride, and read him stories through and through, and even took him to the zoo. But there it was the dreadful fate befell him, which I now relate. You know, or at least you ought to know, for I have often told you so, that children never are allowed to leave their nurses in the crowd. Now, this was Jim's especial foible. He ran away when he was able, and on this inauspicious day he slipped his hand and ran away. He hadn't gone a yard when bang, with open jaws a lion sprang, and hungrily began to eat the boy beginning at his feet. Now just imagine how it feels when first your toes and then your heels, and then by gradual degrees your shins and ankles, calves and knees, and slowly eaten bit by bit. No wonder Jim detested it. No wonder he shouted, "Hi!" The honest keeper heard his cry. Though very fat, he almost ran to help the little gentleman. "Ponto!" he ordered as he came, for Ponto was the lion's name. "Ponto!" he cried, with angry frown. "Let go, sir! Down, sir! Put it down!" The lion made a sudden stop. He let the dainty morsel drop, and slunk reluctant to his cage, snarling with disappointed rage. But when he bent him over, Jim, the honest keeper's eyes were dim. The lion having reached his head, the miserable boy was dead. When nurse informed his parents, they were more concerned than I can say. His mother, as she dried her eyes, said, "Well, it gives me no surprise. He would not do as he was told." His father was who was self-controlled, bade all the children round attend to James' miserable end. Always keep a hold of nurse, for fear of finding something worse. I like that one. Cautionary tale. Cautionary. Like like a cautionary tale, you know? Big yellow signs, don't step on, hey, don't do strange things with electric fence. Don't do anything with an electric fence. Cautionary tale. I'm not going to get into details. I'll have to make something up. The sun came out. That's what it looks like when the sun comes out around here. When the sun's out down here, it could look like July right now. It all looks the same. It's a nice siding job. At some point, they're going to get a roofing done, I hope. That's going to be a great day of hammering. Ugh, construction noises. Oh, you learn to have to tolerate. Oh, people get used to everything. That's what they say. I can get used to hammering sounds. Or when the power washers are out and they're cleaning the siding, I can get used to that. It's kind of like when somebody's eating peanut butter and you're not eating it. You just horrible odor in the room if you're near them. It's like running the power washer and you're running it, but it's not a problem for you because you're doing something, you're getting something done. But everybody else, they have to deal with the noise. Lines for a Christmas card. May all my enemies go to hell. Noel, 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 Noel. Oh, excuse me. I didn't make that up. Lions for a Christmas card by Hilaire Belloc. May all my enemies go to hell. Noel, 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 Noel. I think the original I said your, but the original, I guess it's a poem, is my. May all my enemies go to hell. Noel, 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 Noel. By Hilaire Belloc. Lions for a Christmas card. Yeah, that's a poem. I'll throw that one. Christmas is over. And the most depressing day of the year is coming. It's a Friday. I think it's the third Friday of the year. That's when they say All the New Year's resolutions are abandoned, and people are starting to realize that, well, it's just winter. I'm not changing a darn thing. Or I think after the poor eating habits over the holidays start to bear their leaving their scars on the physical appearance by then. They say the your habits of this month will appear next month in like a physical way. So if you're going to the gym like 3 or 4 times a week, and really putting in a lot of effort, you won't notice the changes until about 4 weeks later. Same can be said about binge eating over the holidays. After 3 weeks, you just realize, oh, I feel like I got bricks in my pants. I can't get up anymore. Also, this is a horrible time of year to do a New Year's resolution. It's January. At best you get the gray day. You can't go out and walk because it's snowing half the time, or it's that gray slush. You have to shovel, and that's your only exercise, is that pushing all that stuff around. When you get older, all your joints are hurting. Like today, my sinuses are killing me. That's why I'm kind of hoarse, kind of short of breath because my nose is kind of clogged up. Henry King by Hilaire Belloc. The chief defect of Henry King was chewing little bits of string. At last he swallowed some which tied itself in ugly knots inside. Physicians of the utmost fame were called at once, but when they came, they answered as they took their fees, there is no cure for this disease. Henry will very soon be dead. His parents stood about his bed, lamenting his untimely death, when Henry, with his latest breath, cried, "O my friends, be warned of by me, that breakfast, dinner, lunch, and tea are all the human frame requires. With that, the wretched child expires." Another cautionary tale. And now I'm beginning to understand where Shel Silverstein got some of his ideas. I think he was a big Belloc fan. But I'm thinking of the prince who ate too much peanut butter and got his mouth peanut butter again. I'm not even hungry. The prince who ate peanut butter, but his mouth got stuck, and I think it was in Where the Sidewalk Ends, which was one of his poetry books, and which was also the name of a old movie back in Bogey's era. I don't know where the Sidewalk Ends comes around, but this is starting to remind me of Shel Silverstein. And Shel Silverstein was probably the first poet that I was ever read to, or I didn't read my own, but it was third grade. Big gothic, little school looking place. Asbestos probably in the walls. Who knows? I mean, this was a while ago before they realized the dangers of that stuff. And the third grade teacher, older woman. I mean, they're all older when you're in third grade, but this woman looked like she was, I mean, 3 generations ahead of us. I mean, she was up there. And she was reading Shel Silverstein to us. And that was my introduction to poetry. She read that poem, The Peanut Butter and the Prince, or The Prince and the Peanut Butter Sandwich. You look it up. I can't read it. It's not in the public domain. I'll mention it, though. Enjoy it. Henry King by Hilaire Belloc. The chief defect of Henry King was chewing little bits of string. At last he swallowed some which tied itself in knots, ugly knots inside. Physicians of the utmost fame were called at once, but when they came, they answered as they took their fees, there is no cure for this disease. Henry will very soon be dead. His parents stood about his bed, lamenting his untimely death, when Henry, with his latest breath, cried, "O my friends, be warned of by me, that breakfast, dinner, lunch, and tea are all the human frame requires. With that, the wretched child expires." The lesson: don't eat string. Don't eat hair. The body is not meant to consume that stuff. Have some sense. Have a nice meal, a salad, a Caesar salad. I think Caesar salads have the little bits of chicken in it. Have some sense. No string. I mean, there's some people that chew on their fingernails and eat them. That's disgusting. Don't do that. The body's not meant to eat that. Even if it's coming from the body, the nails are. Don't do that. Please, please. As a friend, as a favor to a stranger who I am, don't do that. Do right by yourself. At the end of the day, you are your best friend. So please, be your own best friend. Lines to a Don by Hilaire Belloc. Remote and ineffectual Don that dared attack my Chesterton. With that poor weapon half impelled, unlearnt, unsteady, hardly held, unworthy for a tilt with men, your quavering and corroded pen, Don poor at bed, and worse at table, Don pinched, Don starved, Don miserable, Don stuttering, Don with hovering, roving eyes, Don nervous, Don of crudities, Don clerical, Don ordinary, Don self-absorbed and solitary, Don here and there, Don epileptic, Don puffed and hefty, Don dyspeptic, Don middle class, Don sycophantic, Don dull, Don brutish, Don pedantic, Don hypocritical, Don bad, Don furtive, Don three quarters mad, Don since a man must make and end, Don that shall never be my friend, Don different for those regal Dons with hearts of gold and lungs of bronze who shout and bang and roar and bawl the absolute across the hall, or sail in amply bellying gown, enormous through the sacred town, bearing from college to their homes deep cargoes of gigantic tomes, dawns admirable, dawns of might, uprising of my inward sight, a compact of ancient tales and port, and sleep and learning of a sort, dawns English worthy of the land, dawns rooted, dawns that understand, good dawns perpetual that remain, a landmark welling in the plain, the horizon of my memories, like large and comfortable trees, Don very much apart from these, though scapegoat Don, though Don devoted, Don to thine own damnation quoted, perplexed to find thy trivial name reared in my verse of last to lasting shame. Don dreadful, rasping Don, and wearing repulsive Don, Don past all bearing, Don of the cold and doubtful breath, Don despicable, Don of death, Don nasty, skimpy, silent level, Don evil, Don that serves the devil, Don ugly, that makes 50 lines. There is a canon which confines a rhymed, oh Lord, octosyllabic, 8 syllables, curse, if written in iambic verse. To 50 lines I never cut. I fair prefer to end it, but believe me, I shall soon return. My fires are banked, but still they burn, to write some more about the Don that dared attack my Chesterton. That's a bad Don. Listeners note, that's not every Don. Some Dons are very good. I'm a fan of and actually maybe Don is an honorary name. Maybe it's a kind of a Don. But some Dons are good. If you're a Don that did not attack this guy's Chesterton, then you're a good Don. But this Don is bad. This Don attacked the Chesterton, and this is Hilaire Belloc's message to Don with his lines to a Don. Specific Don who attacked Hilaire Belloc's Chesterton, which I guess is a dog. Any Don who does that is a jerk. That's my personal opinion. I'm sticking by it. Remote and ineffectual Don that dared attack my Chesterton, with that poor weapon half impaled, unalert, unsteady, hardly held, unworthy for a tilt with men, your quavering and corroded pen, Don poor at bed and worse at table, Don pinched, Don starved, Don miserable, Don stuttering, Don with roving eyes, Don nervous, Don of crudities, Don clerical, Don ordinary, Don self-absorbed and solitary, Don here and there, Don epileptic, Don puffed and empty, Don dyspeptic, Don middle class, Don sycophantic, Don dull, Don brutish, Don pedantic, Don hypocritical, Don bad, Don furtive, Don three quarters mad, Don since a man must make an end, Don that shall never be my friend. Don different for those from those regal Dons, with hearts of gold and lungs of bronze, who shout and bang and roar and bawl the absolute across the hall, or sail an amply bellying gown, enormous through the sacred town, bearing from college to their homes deep cargoes of gigantic tomes, dons admirable, dons of might, uprising of my inward sight, compact of ancient halls and port, and sleep and learning of a sort. Dons English, worthy of the land, dons rooted, dons that understand, good dons perpetual that remain a landmark, walling in the plain, the horizon of my memories, like large and comfortable trees. Don very much apart from these. Though scapegoat Don, though Don devoted, Don to thine own damnation quoted, perplexed to find thy trivial name reared in my verse to lasting shame. Don dreadful, rasping Don and wearying, repulsive Don, Don past all bearing, Don of the cold and doubtful breath, Don despicable, Don of death, Don nasty, skimpy, silent level, Don evil, Don that serves the devil, Don ugly, that makes 50 lines. There is a canon which confines a rhymed octosyllabic curse, if written in iambic verse, to 50 lines I never cut. I far prefer to end it, but believe me, I shall soon return. My fires are banked, but still they burned, to write some more about the Don that dared attack my Chesterton. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, I was feeling that one. Oh, boy. I tell you, that's a good one. I mean, he covers all the bases. I mean, imagine writing a poem about someone that wronged you, and you just got it all down there. And he even gave a little, statement about the other Dons that were good, and wouldn't attack his Chesterton. But he got that out there. He made that point. Oh, that was a lot of acid in there. Oh, that was a mean poem. I can't imagine writing anything like that about anybody. Oh, this last one is really, really, really long. I don't know if I got the. I don't know if I got the battery power or the lung capacity to read it. Well, I'll read it once. If it doesn't come out very well, that's just because this is getting really long. A heroic poem in praise of wine. Wine again, by Hilaire Belloc. To exalt, enthrone, establish, and defend, to welcome home mankind's mysterious friend. Wine, true begetter of all arts that be, wine privilege of the completely free. Wine the recorder, wine the sagely strong, wine bring wine bright avenger of sly dealing wrong. Awake, Austonian muse, and sing the vineyard song. Sing how the charioteer from Asia came, and on his front the little dancing flame, which marked the Godhead. Sing the panther team, the gilded thrices twirling in the gleam of cymbals through the darkness. Sing the drums, he comes, the young renewer of Hellas comes. The seas await him, those Aegean seas roll from the dawning, ponderous, ill at ease, in lifts of lead whose cresting hardly breaks to ghostly foam when suddenly there awakes a mountain glory inland. All the skies are luminous, and amid the seabird cries the mariner hears a morning breeze arise. Then goes the pageant forward, the seaway silvers the feet of that august array, trailing above the waters through the airs, and as they pass a wind before them bears the quickening word, the influence magical. The islands have received it. Marble tale, the long shores of the mainland. Something fills the warm Ebonian combs, the sacred hills of Aluus of the Argos. Still they move, touching the city walls, the temple groove, till far upon the horizon glint a gleam of light, of trembling light revealed they seem, turned to a cloud, but to a cloud that shines, and everywhere as they pass the conquering vines, and the vine breaths were savior through the upland, empty heaths of treeless wastes. The vines have come to where the dark palazza green, These nouns. The Pelasgian steep defends the lair of the wolves hiding to the empty fields by Ophidius, the dry campaign that yields no harvest for the husbandman, but now shall bear a nobler foison that the plough to wear festooned along the tall elm trees. Tendrils are mirrored in Tyrrhenian seas, to where the south awaits them, even to where stark African informed of burning air, upturned to heaven the broad Hipponian plain extends luxurious and invites the main. Gulima's a mother, Baron Thaspasa. Oh, I gotta really proofread these things before I get to them. I mean, not proofread, but read them beforehand. This is all new to me. Thaspasa breeds. I was going pretty well though for a while. Well, this is not a fun one, is it? Oh, bother. I hate to tell you this, but there's like 5 pages more of this. Oh well. I started it, might as well finish it. And northward in the valley next to the. I'll pick up where I screwed up. Gulama's mother, a baron Thaspasa breeds, and northward in the valleys next the meads that sleep by misty river banks, and the vines have struck to spread below the solemn pines. The vines are on the roof trees. All the shrines and homes of men are consecrate with vines. And now the task of the triumphant day has reached to victory in the reddening ray. With all his train from hard Iberian lands, fulfilled apparent, the Creator stands, halted on Atlas, far beneath him, far the strength of ocean darkening in the star. Beyond all shores there is a silence made, and it glorifies in a gigantic shade. Of Hercules adores him from the west. Dead lucre, burnt ambition, wine is best. But what are these that from the outer murk of dense mephitic vapors creeping lurk? To breathe foul airs from the corrupted well, which oozes slime along the floor of hell. These are the stricken, palsied brood of sin, in whose vile veins pour poisonous and thin. Decoctions of embittered hatreds crawl. Those are the water drinkers, cursed all. On what gin sodden hags, what flaccid sires, bred those white slugs from what exhausted desires, and what close prisons horror where their wiles Wiles, not whales, wiles. I'll get it right. Well, I gotta have a drink of water. I'll be honest. As soon as I read that thing about hell, hot, thirsty, wretched water drinkers, out of spite to this poem, I'm gonna drink some water. Better. Where was I? I screwed up on wiles, which rhymes with smiles. And what close prisons horror where their wiles watched by what tyrant power with evil smiles, or in what caverns blocked from grace and air, receive they then the mandates of despair. What must our race, our tragic race, the Rome all exiled from our first and final home, that in one moment of temptation lost our heritage and now wander hunger's toast beyond the gates, still speaking for with our eyes forever of remembered paradise. Must we with every gift accepted still, with every joy receive attended still? Must some lewd evil follow all our good, and muttering dog our brief beatitude, 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 not beatitude. There's an A in there. Say it right. I do not edit. This is all just coming right out as it is. Beat. Beat. Beatitude. And muttering dog, our brief beatitude. a primal doom, inexorable wise, permitted order, even those to rise. Even in the shadow of so bright a lord, must swarm and propagate the filthy horde. Debased, accursed, I say abhorrent and abhorred, accursed and curse bestowing, for whosoever shall suffer their contagion everywhere, falls from the estate of man and finds his end. Uh-oh. To the mere beverage of the beasts condemned. For such as these, in vain the Rhine is rolled, imperial centuries by hills of gold. For such as these, the flashing Rhone shall rage, in vain its lightning through the hermitage, or level browed divine Tortain receive the tribute of her vintages as at eve. This really is not putting me in the mind of wine. A heroic poem about wine. The last thing I want to ever do in my entire life is drink a glass of wine. Maybe that was the point. Just cure alcoholism with poetry. In vain its lighting through the hermitage, or level browed divine terrain receive the tribute of her vintages at eve. For such as these Burgundian heats in vain swell the rich slope or low the empurpled plain, bootless for such. I'm not reading this again. Forget it. This is one time through. If I butcher it, I butcher it. And I'm not reading this one again. Not going to do it. Nope. No. Sure, I'm not doing it, Bogey. I'm not doing it. I'm not reading it again. You can look that way all you want. You can turn your head outside and just stare out the window. The sun's out now. Where was I? Swell the rich slope, or low the empurpled plain, bootless for such as these, the mighty task of bottling God the Father in a flask, and leading all creation down distilled to one small ardent sphere, immensely filled. Excuse me, my nose got itchy. To one small ardent sphere, immensely filled, with memories empty, with experience null, with vapid eyeballs meaningless and dull. They pass unbleast. Unblest. I am learning words that I never knew were words before. And if I were drunk, I would definitely not be able to read. I'd be reading it like this. Maybe I gotta read it like I'm supposed to be drunk. I'm gonna just try and be drunk and try to make it. I'm gonna read it like a drunk man now. They pass unbleached through the unfruitful light, and when we open the bronze doors of night, when we in high carousel we recline, spur up to heaven the still ascending mind, pass with all-inspiring to and fro, the torch of Genesis, no, the torch of genius, and the muses glow. They lifeless stare at vacancy alone, or plan. I can't do it this way. I don't drink. I think impersonate a drunk. I can't be what I'm not. Okay. 1, 2. Or plan mean traffic. I'm just gonna go back to that. For such as these Burgundian heats in vain, swell the rich slope, or low the empurpled plain. This was like it was in college when you had to read something you didn't want to read. You know that? You just sit there and you just like, I hate this writer. I hate everything about it. I'm just going to say to heck with it. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to plow ahead. If I can't make sense of it, I can't make sense of it. There's no such thing as cliff notes in real life. This recording is going on almost an hour now. The one small ardent sphere immensely filled, with memories empty, with experience null, with vapid eyeballs meaningless and dull, they pass unbleached through the unfruitful light. And when we open the bronze doors of night, when we in high carousel we reclined, spurt up to heaven the still ascending mind, pass with all inspiring to and fro the torch of genius and the muses glow. They lifeless stare at vacancy alone, or plan main traffic, or repeat their moan. We, when when repose demands us, welcomed are in young white arms like our great exemplar, who, wearied with creation, takes his rest and sinks to sleep on our Dane's breast. They through the darkness into darkness press, despised, abandoned, and companionless. And when the course of either's sleep has run, we leap to life like heralds of the sun. We from the couch in roseate morning's gay salute as equals the exultant day, while the unworthy, unrewarded they, the dank despisers of the divine, arise to watch gray dawns and mourn indifferent skies. Forget them from the Dionysian ring, and pulse the ground and Io, Io sing. Father Lentian, to whom our strength belongs, our loves, our wars, our laughter, and our songs, remember our inheritance who praise your glory in these last unhappy days, when beauty sickens and a muddied robe of baseness fouls the universal globe, though all the gods indignant in their train, abandon ruined man, do thou remain. Be by thee the vesture of our life was made, the embattled gate, the lordly colonnade, the woven fabrics of gracious hues, the sound of trumpets in the quivering fountain round, and indestructible in the arc and high, the shaft of stone that stands against the sky. And last, the guardian genius of them rhyme, come from beyond the world to conquer time. All these are thine, Lennian. By thee do seers the inward light discern, by thee the statue lives the gods return, by thee the thunder and the falling foam of loud Aquanians torrent call to Rome. Alba rejoices to a thousand springs. Gonsanos laughs, and Orvidio sings. But with Orvidio, with the name of dark Etrurian subterranean flame, the years dissolve. I am standing in that hour of majesty septembral, in the power which swells the clusters when the nights are still, with autumn stars on our video hill. Had these been mine, Austonian muse to know, the large contented oxen heavily heaving slow, to count my sheaves at harvest, so to spend perfect days in peace until the end, with every evening's dust of gold to hear the bells upon the pasture height the clear, full horn of herdsmen gathering in the kine, to ancient byres and hamlets of Apennine, and crown abundant age with generous ease, had these Austonian muse, had these, but since I would not, since I could not stay, let me remember even this my day, how when the ephemeral visions lure and pass is past, all must face their passion as at the last. Was there not one that did to heaven complain, how driving through the midnight and the rain, he struck the Atlantic Sea, then surged before, wrecked in the north along a lonely shore, to make the lights of home and hear his name no more? Was there not one that was that from a desperate field rode with no guardian but a rifted shield, a name disinherited, a broken sword, wounds unrenowned, battle beneath no lord, strong blows but on the void, and toil without reward? When from the waste of such long labor done, I too must leave the grape unnobling sun, and like the vineyard worker take my day down the long shadows of declining day, bend on the somber plain my clouded sight, and leave the mountain to the advancing night. Come to the term of all that was mine own, with nothingness before me and alone. Then to what hope of answer shall I turn, comrade commander, whom I dare not earn? What said you then to trembling friends a few? A moment and a drink it was it with you new. But in my Father's kingdom, so my friend, let not your cup desert me in the end. But when the hour of mine adventures near, just and benignant, let my youth appear, bearing a chalice open, golden and wide, with benediction graven on its side. So touch my dying lips, so bridge the deep, so pledge my waking from the gift of sleep, and sacramental raise me the divine, strong brother in God, and last companion wine. Hilaire Belloc, ladies and gentlemen. Hilaire Belloc. I think that is all I can do right now. That's all the Hilaire Belloc I've thrown all across the room. And I do mean that literally. I've been throwing Hilaire Belloc across the room because I thought this poetry would be kind of, humorous. Little did I know. As I said, I'm learning this stuff pretty much right now. So I now know that the root of hilarious has nothing to do with that poet. Some of the lines are kind of witty, but they're definitely not funny. A couple of poems about being a drinker of wine. I don't like wine. And a couple of cautionary tales of lions and what else was the other one? One was getting eaten by lions. The other one was eating string. Don't do that. Don't get eaten by lions and don't eat string. And with that, I say enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening. The sun's out here. Well, the sun's not out here, but it did clear up. And I'm not going to take it for granted. I'm going to get out of here. So have a good day.